On this week's show, we take a look at the difference between a property investor and a property entrepreneur.
We're going to be meeting an experienced property investor who, after making one small tweak to his business, is making a far higher return on investment.
And in the news, slum landlord gets a £300,000 fine. Hi, I'm Russell Leeds.
I'm Alistair Cunningham.
Welcome to this week's Property Investors Podcast. So, we've got a lot of stuff coming up this week's show, but how have you been? You've had a good week?
I've had an awesome week, so it's been really good. It's been really good. What have you been up to?
Well,
we have to ask you, because we always ask me. So what have you been up to?
What have I been up to? I've been continuing with my salsa dance classes.
How's that going? Are you getting your moves on? Are you going to show us?
No.
Okay.
No, I have sent a little clip over to Nick, but he's too professional to be playing that on the show, so I'm confident that won't be going on in the background while
Nick,
I'm speaking right
get
now.
that on, man. Get that on.
No,
how are you finding it? Because it's...
Do you know what? It's actually really good fun. I've never been able to dance. And I've always thought... I talked about this a little bit when I was talking about sales to the group the other day, but do you believe that you could be good at anything you wanted to be? Anything?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Do you?
If you put the effort and time in, yeah.
Yeah, I believe that. I didn't used to.
Yeah.
Well, I thought I believe I had quite a lot of natural self-belief with most stuff, but there was certain stuff that I just thought. Dancing was one of them. I can't dance. I just can't do it. And then I said it, and someone said to me, "I thought you said that." I was like, "True." And then I thought, well, maybe. I could become good if I put practice in. So, I mean, I've only been going a few weeks now, but it's actually good fun.
To challenge yourself. Good.
You should go.
Yeah, do you know, it's something me and Lisa might consider, yeah.
Really?
Just to get a bit more time together.
Wow.
So you were, like, so you would, like, proper dad dance, no good at dancing before, and now you're...
I wouldn't dad dance because I just wouldn't dance.
You just wouldn't dance?
I didn't even dance at a wedding.
Not even with your wife on our first dance?
Not even with my wife on the first dance. I don't like dancing.
That's disgraceful. Well, okay. So how are you getting on now? Yeah, are you getting into it?
So
I know you're enjoying it, but you actually are you shaking the moves?
Well, you know, I'm doing all right. I'm doing okay. I'm sort of learning where to put my feet and stuff. And the first week it was like, you know, she was doing it, and do you know when you got that moment where they're doing it and everyone is flawlessly copying them, and you're just like, I don't get this. I don't know why. But I kind of got it. Yeah, good. I mean, put it this way, because what they do, it's quite cool. Because there's normally more women than men, but it's a reasonably even mix. So they get all the men to go in the middle, the women stand around in a circle, and then you partner with a woman, dance for a minute or two, and then you move on to the next one. So you're not dancing with the same person. You're literally going around.
I would find that super awkward.
Would you?
Did you not?
No. Why would you find that awkward?
Just because you don't know them, and because you're like, salsa's quite like close, isn't it? It's I would just find that awkward.
Would you? I don't find it awkward. It's actually quite good because like some of them are better than some are like, oh, okay, they did that well, and you kind of like learn.
Man.
It's quite good. But yeah, man, it's really good. It's really good. You should definitely go.
I'm glad you've done it because it's just
pushing myself out my comfort zone in a different 100%. Way.
Yeah, it can't. Yeah, it's good.
Which is good.
So, how many lessons have you got before you're a seasoned pro?
Well, season pro, I don't know. I mean, like 10,000 hour rule, so it's gonna be a while.
So
10,000 weeks.
How many? You had a couple. You've had what? 3 or 4 weeks now.
3 weeks. 3 weeks. The footage I sent in it was after the first week.
Oh really?
Yeah. So that was so.
And how long have you got? What are you doing? You got a program you're doing? Is it like a 12-week program?
It's an 8-week beginner program.
Yeah.
And then after that, you can move up to the next level, and there's like 4 levels. So I don't think that. I think the rest of it is just you go on a weekly basis, and then they will say to you, I think you're ready to move into the next group now. So I'll probably be in the next level for a long time.
Does Anna enjoy it?
Yeah.
She loves it,
yeah. We go with Jack and Ellen as well. Do you know Jack?
Yeah, I know Jack. I saw
he's
Jack
got some. He's got some moves though.
yeah. Well.
Yeah.
A bit more hippity.
A bit more move in the hip.
Yeah. Maybe
he is. So tell us about your week. What have you been up
to? So this week I have been.
Why have you got this here, by the way?
That's my new book.
I know, but this is the Property Investors Podcast. This isn't Whatever It Takes show. Put it away.
Okay.
carry on.
So this week,
Cheap plug. I do apologise.
I've been focusing on my book.
Yep.
And,
Back to the book. Yeah.
I've been like focusing on my book, getting it ready and marketing it.
Yep.
And dealing with all that side of stuff. So yeah, it's been really good, and just trying to do what I can to promote it. And just keep it out there.
Keep it in people's mind.
Keep it in people's minds, because it's my journey and it's what I've done to get into property.
Yeah.
Look, what's that over there, man? That's just in case.
Yeah, I'll keep looking away while you show the camera. Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's all I've been doing, really focusing on my book.
Yeah.
We've had a couple of events again, so that's been cool. But yeah, it's been a really good week.
Just work.
Work, basically.
Nothing social.
I love work.
What have you done social?
Not a lot.
Nothing.
Not a lot, because we've been working quite hard. I'm now, after this, I'm going to have a couple of days off. And it's midweek, and I'm just having some time off.
Cool. Sounds good.
So
Right,
yeah.
should we get cracking on with the show?
Yeah.
So, first of all, we're looking at the... that's last week's show, so we're not doing that. Otherwise, it's just going to be boring. It'll be like, didn't they talk about this last week?
We talked about it last week.
That's this
so this week
show.
we're talking about
Property
property investor
investors
versus property entrepreneur.
Okay, so I would say... If you give the definition of property investor, I'll do property entrepreneur. We'll tell you why they're different and when it suits to be which one. Because I would say you were both, but probably more a property entrepreneur.
Yeah, I would say that as well. So property investor is somebody who is investing in property for capital appreciation and for income from that property, i.e. you're buying a property, renting it out, getting the money from it. Mm-hmm. I think that sums up investor quite well.
Yeah, and a property entrepreneur is someone that makes money from property, but running it more like a business. So, for example, if they do rent a service accommodation, they're not an investor because they don't own the apartment. They're renting it, so they're acquiring it as a product. They're being the middleman basically and renting it out again. So they're being an entrepreneur. A deal sourcer will be the exact same thing. They're making money from property as an entrepreneur, not as not as an investor.
So I think everyone, if you're in property, I think you should be doing a bit of both. So I'm not saying just focus on. Yeah.
See, I know a lot of people, a lot of my sort of friends who are business owners and stuff. They're not property entrepreneurs at all. They just run their own business and then they dump their money into property.
Okay. Well, it depends. If you want,
that's his comeback. Okay,
if you're like full-time property, I think it helps, because when you're out, like say for instance, deal sourcing is massive, makes a lot of money. When you're out looking for investments, you're always going to find lots of deals, and you cannot always pass them and buy them yourself. Yeah. So that's where the entrepreneur side of you should come out, and then you should pass them on to investors. If you're looking at it, investing purely from like a completely hands-off point of view, then you're an investor. That's 100% right. Yeah. But it does depend. I'm not sure what most of our listeners are. I'm not sure if they are business owners or if they're people that are looking to get into property and start businesses within property.
If you're getting started, you probably need to become a property entrepreneur.
I think so.
If you're first starting out, because you need to be an investor, you need cash.
Yeah.
To be a property entrepreneur, you don't. You might need a little bit, but you don't.
Nowhere near as much.
So what you can do is you can do both, because you can be a property entrepreneur to bring in money, and then you can put on your property investor's hat to invest that money, which I suppose is what the people that run their own business then they're not a property entrepreneur, they're just an entrepreneur, or they've got a really good job and they're investing that money into property. Yeah. But the beautiful thing about being a property investor is it is passive, whereas a property entrepreneur is not.
It's active, yeah.
So if you can build up enough money that you can invest it smart enough, you can then just keep investing and it will just keep
growing. Yeah.
So I would say ultimately a property investor is better.
I would, yeah, completely
ultimately,
agree with you.
But there's going to be a stage
who wouldn't want to be making money every month and not having to actually physically do lots of work for that. Do the work once. Is it sneaking out? It's sneaking out just like that.
Do the work once, yeah.
Just do the work once and get paid for it. Who wouldn't want to do that?
Yeah.
Surely everyone's goals are to make as much money as possible.
But people that do development and buy refurbished, I would say that was a property entrepreneur.
Yeah, because
that's not an investor. That's someone that's using property as a way of making money. It's a business.
It depends if they're keeping it. If they're keeping it, then surely they're an investor.
If they're keeping it, it's a cross.
Yeah, but no, surely if they're a developer and they're buying this building we're in and they're going to make it into, I don't know, about 300 flats because the size of it, then they're going to keep them and then rent them out. Surely they're an investor because they've invested in the property, they've invested time, money, and effort to make it into conversion into flats, and then they're going to be renting them out.
That is just investable. What I'm talking about are people.
So if they were to buy it,
yeah,
convert it, and then sell them, they're trading property.
But if they were to, but see, I would argue that if they were going to buy it,
Yeah.
like make it really nice,
Yeah.
and then refinance it, even if they kept it, they're still a property entrepreneur. It's still entrepreneurial. It's still pulling out the money. It's still,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's both, I think. Then
Yeah, it is a little bit on the fence, that one, but I think you've got to be a mixture of both, depending on what your outcome is, what you want. But yeah, I like both. So
if you're getting started and you haven't got any money, I'd definitely start looking at the property entrepreneur.
Yeah,
routes.
yeah, to get you making money. So what would you define yourself as?
Both.
I would say you're an entrepreneur, property entrepreneur and investor, because exactly both, because you've got the active income, so the training and the what else?
But our business is directly involved in property.
Yeah, it's all property related.
It's all property related.
So you've got the training business, all your other active income, plus you've got your own developments and investments.
Definitely both.
Yeah, definitely.
For me, very much so, very heavily.
Yeah, I would say I'm both, but I'm more entrepreneur side at the minute. Although I have invested in properties, it's not the active side is higher than the. But yeah, it will swing around.
It will.
It will. Definitely,
and you'll start doing more.
100%.
I reckon it will shift.
Yeah,
it will shift.
I completely agree.
To be
with
honest, though, for me, I don't particularly want to just be an investor. I love the business. I love the entrepreneurial side of it. I think that's really important. So yeah, well, I hope that's kind of cleared it up, because we had a few people mentioning about that, and we thought, hey, why don't we talk about that difference between property entrepreneur and property investor? Right, we are now going to be talking about property investors.
Yeah, very experienced investor.
We're going to be meeting a guy now, a guy called Trevor, and he, really experienced investor, has been doing it for, I believe, 20 years, and making good money from it. And he's tweaked something. He came along to the crash course, and he was like, wow, even though I've been doing it for all these years, my eyes have been open to this new strategy. He's tweaked it, and now it's made a big difference, doesn't it?
Yeah,
really big
absolutely.
difference. So let's hear from him now, and then we're going to talk about how maybe you could do the same.
Hey, Samuel Leeds here. Welcome to Winners on a Wednesday. This week we have a guy who's been in the game a little while. Please welcome onto the show, Mr. Trevor Cooper.
Hi.
Good to have you on the show, man.
Good to meet you.
You've been in property a long time. Why don't you start by just giving us a little bit about your background
Sure.
and how long you've been in property and what you've done?
Yeah, okay. So I started in property about 20 years ago.
That was before I was in property.
Yeah.
That was before I'd left school.
Thanks for rubbing it in. I think you probably were about 6, I think.
Yeah, probably. Well, 7 or 8. Yeah. But that's a long time.
Yeah.
So talk us through what you've kind of done. I know you've recently, well, you attended the crash course, what, like a year ago?
It was in June, actually.
In June?
Yeah.
And things have changed a little bit, and strategies have changed. You're now stepping out and doing things a little bit differently. But why don't you just talk to us a little bit about what you've done prior to the crash course?
Yeah.
And what your strategy has been?
Sure. So, I mean, it all started, I'd had a career. I've had a career in sales all my life.
Yeah.
And at one point, there was a bit of a change in the industry I was working in, and I was made redundant several times in a row. And I suddenly thought, you know what, I've got to find some way of making sure that I'm secure financially, and it's not going to be from income coming from another company. And that was it. So we were up in Scotland on holiday, my wife and I, and we were thinking about doing a buy-to-let. And before we got home, we'd already booked all the viewings for when we got back, and we started getting really excited, and we went and bought a one-bed house, little tiny house, and we didn't know what we were doing, had no idea. We decorated it. I was out there at 3 a.m. in the morning, painting the windows, getting it all ready. It took us a week to turn it around, put it back on the market, and it let straight away. I thought, wow, fantastic. So that's kind of where it started, and then fast forward, to about 4 years ago, I left my day job. We'd just got to the point where we could cover all our costs with our buy-to-lets. So I thought, actually, you know what? I want to leave the day job and do some other stuff. So that's where we got.
Incredible. So you single-handedly sort of built this property. I mean, how many properties did it take in order for you to say, you know what, I can now leave work?
At that point, it was 8 properties.
And but these were all single lets.
All single lets.
Reasonably, in my world, very low yielding.
Yeah.
What kind of return on investment were you getting?
So they're probably about 7 or 8%.
About 7 or 8%, which is, hey, it's a lot better than the bank.
Yeah.
And you're also getting capital appreciation,
Exactly.
but it's very. I say this at the crash course. You see me say this. You could literally buy a property blindfolded,
Yeah.
you know, in a random area and just be like, that one. And you're still probably going to make money over time. The dangerous ways to make money in property is like things like off-plan, overseas, that can go wrong.
Yeah.
But if you just put your money into property, you're probably going to make money, which is what you did.
It is exactly what we did.
Which is,
I mean, we didn't
and you were you just putting in 25% deposits based on your income?
Yeah, I think it was 20% in those days, but yeah, we were just putting a deposit down, which we'd saved up from the income, and then here you go.
So I guess for anyone watching this who is, presumably, what did you say your previous job was? I know you kept getting made redundant, but what was your background?
So sales. I've been in sales all my life.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what kind of stuff have you been selling?
Everything from home pride foods through to children's books more recently.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
So for anyone watching this who's making a decent living, and they're in a job, the key is you can get made redundant. It happened to you 3 times.
Yeah.
So a real smart thing is to do is to just save, invest, and wait.
Yeah.
So that was your strategy. Talk to me about what changed in June then when you came on the crash course.
So I think for me, I left my day job about 4 years ago, and then I bought a few more properties in the same or similar way with a bit more thought in terms of where I was buying it, why, and I'm looking at capital growth and trying to work out where I think I'm going to see that. But then more recently, after doing the crash course, it really made me think differently. I haven't bought any HMOs yet, but that was the key driver for me to go on the course, because it's something I'm starting to look at.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking now, you know what, I've got a really good asset base, I've got a reasonable amount of income coming off of it, but it'd be good to bring that up a bit more and get some high yielding properties.
And you've got one which is a higher return one, still a single let, but we're pushing the boat a little bit more, which is you're going to be getting the keys when?
We get the keys on Monday.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Are you excited about that one?
Very much so, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a project with myself and my son. So it's going to be his first buy-to-let.
Excellent.
That's the project for the next couple of weeks.
So talk to me a little bit about some of the, because I know, you've come on the show for 3 reasons. One, because I asked you to come on the show, because you've been successful in property, and because you're now pushing the boat out, you're getting more interesting deals. Secondly, because I know you want to inspire people.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've got one of the things that you do, which is great on our Facebook group, and if anyone's not on the Property Investors with Samuel Leeds Facebook group, I think they should be. You're very active on that, and you post your deals and you put spreadsheets and you say, look, these are the figures, and you say, this is what I'll put in and this is now what I'm getting out, and these are the return on investment, which is really, really good, and it just means that people can see the nitty gritty of the exact figures. So I really appreciate that. So you want to inspire people. And 3, I see you getting a lot of questions on the group about your properties, so we wanted to answer some of the common questions around property that I get, that you get, to really just help people and add value. So why don't we start? Why don't you just talk to me a little bit about what are the common questions that you've been asked, and what are the key lessons that you wish you knew now when you started 20 years ago?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think the key one is around capital growth and where I see it, because everyone's got their own strategies. At the moment, my strategy has been about buying properties where I think there's going to be good capital growth. It's about how you identify those areas.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know if I've got it right. We'll find out. I've done okay in the past. So I think that's a key one. And that's just about really doing your due diligence and analysing the figures. So, for instance, where I'm buying at the moment, the prices haven't moved since about 2006.
Yes.
Now, a lot of people go, well, why are you buying there then? That's a terrible place to buy. Well, actually, they're undervalued at the moment. There's loads of growth I'm expecting in that area. And when you drive to this area, you see all the builders. They're building properties everywhere because they know that that's going to happen. It's going to grow. That's one thing that I'm constantly.
That's a really good point. Sometimes people like to jump on the bandwagon.
Yeah.
So properties are going up in an area and they're going crazy, and then everyone thinks, oh, I'll buy there then.
Exactly.
But actually, you're better off to find an area where prices have bottomed out, because after a big dip will always follow a big boom, and after a big boom will always follow a big dip.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's really interesting. So where are you buying at the moment then, if you don't mind me asking?
No, not at all. I'm hoping it'll help the prices go up.
Yeah, well, yeah, it could do.
So the one we're just doing is in Crewe.
Fantastic.
Most of the properties we're buying in that area are actually in Sandbach, which is sort of next to Crewe. It's
Yeah.
a really nice little town. Looks like it's quite affluent. So I know it's a different strategy to the ones that some people follow.
Yes.
But I'm looking for those properties specifically for capital growth.
But you're now getting much better return than you were getting.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 11% on a single let.
which is still we've got a long way to go yet.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's better than 7 or 8%.
It's a reasonable return on a single let,
Yeah.
and so it's going to be my son's first property. So for a first one, a single let's probably not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Certainly for him, I think it's the right move. It's a good.
And your figures as well. Your figures are very, very conservative, realistic. You factor
They are.
into account. You factor into account everything and more.
Yeah.
So which is a good way to do it, because you'd rather think 11% and then actually okay, it was full all the time, brilliant, it's now 12 or 13%,
Exactly.
then think it's going to be 20% and then it's 15%, so that's great. Okay, what else, what common questions do you get then?
So I mean, I think people talk about the area. They then ask about, because they do look at that spreadsheet that I put up there,
Yeah.
and my costs, and I get some really good comments about that spreadsheet, and some that I just think, really, you're asking that? You know, some people sort of say, oh, you know, you could get your oven for 50 quid less, and you're thinking, oh, okay, great, it's not going to change the deal much.
Yeah.
But other people are sort of asking more important questions about, you know, how it's being financed and you know, how I'm getting to that overall number.
Yeah.
So it is about, for me, it is about the numbers, making sure you've got those numbers just right for the
Yeah.
deal. So yeah, that spreadsheet, it's taken a while, but you sort of come up with a basic format and then you build on it over time, and now there's nothing that's not on there. So I know when I buy that property, everything I need will be included on that spreadsheet.
Fantastic,
you know,
really good. And property's got to be about formulas.
Yes.
Too many people buy properties based on their feelings.
Yeah.
You know, I like this property, this is in a nice area, but actually, even with yourself looking for capital appreciation, it's not your feelings, it's you calculating what do we think is going to go up.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because on the really good podcast that you do, I was listening to Russell.
Yeah.
And he was talking about the formulas and feelings things with Alistair. And I think, I wish I could actually be there and debate this with them at the time, because they were talking about the fact that a lot of people buy in nice areas. And I'm thinking, oh, that's me. You know.
Yeah.
But actually, yeah, I do. But it's not because I'm buying my feelings. It's just that my strategy and my formula is to make sure that my exit plan is that one day I might want to sell that property or reinvest or pull the money out, and I want the capital growth, and that's why I'm buying in those areas. So,
But buying nice houses can be about feelings. If it's about feelings, then that's the wrong motive. But if you're doing it and you've got a plan in mind that fits with your plan, we were talking earlier, weren't we, off camera, about people say, what's the best property strategy? There is none. It just depends on what you're wanting to achieve,
Depends on your goals.
and everyone's got different goals and wants to achieve different things.
That's right.
So love that. What are your plans then now moving forward? Now I know you did the crash course in June. You've now started buying slightly different types of properties. How else did that change your mindset, strategies? How else has that helped?
I think the challenge for me is now whether I go into HMOs, because clearly, you know, what you've shown on that course is the returns can be really good, and it's about, you know, for me, it's almost a challenge to me to say, come on, Trevor, do something a bit different, and improve that cash flow, because we've got the assets.
Yeah.
So you know, I'm certainly talking to agents in a different way when I'm on the phone, which is something that you talked about on the course.
And did on the programme probably. I usually speak to them live.
And you know, the property we're buying in Crewe, you know, that one was very much from a conversation. You know, I knew before I viewed it that there was going to be movement in that price, and that was really important.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, it's definitely it's made me think differently. It's also fired me up, and actually my family. And you know, that's really good. I mean,
because you're really your son is now getting into property a little bit, and you're really excited about seeing him pursue that journey. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah,
was he at the crash course?
He came to the first day. Unfortunately, not very well, and he had to go home. So we're going to do it again at some point. But yeah, I mean, for him, you know, we don't quite know which route he wants to take yet, but I suspect he may well look at some of the other strategies that you talk about.
Yeah.
That's why I'm really keen that he gets involved now, because I think some of the strategies that you look at would be very interesting for him as he starts to build cash flow from a very low base. You know, that's less important to me, but for him, it's kind of what he needs, so that he can then use that cash flow to go and build his assets, which is something you talk about. So, yeah.
What have been the biggest challenges as a property investor over the 2 decades?
Lack of knowledge, and I say that because it's like you said earlier. What I know now, if I knew that even 10 years ago, in 2008, I was one of the people that was thinking, hold back, I'm not going to do anything. I wished I had.
Yeah.
And what's really frustrating is I was in a position where I could have done actually, but I didn't know. I was still working in a corporate career. This was very much a sideline. I wasn't really deep diving into it and working out what the market's actually doing and where it was going to go to. It was probably 2013 that I suddenly thought, hang on a minute, things are moving here. And I one of the best houses I ever bought, I bought in 2013, and it's doubled its value in 5 years.
Where was that?
Funny enough, it was just around the corner where I live in Letchworth.
Letchworth, which is
Hertfordshire.
Yeah. It's really interesting because I've been buying properties now for 11, 12 years, and one of the things that people don't really see, and I don't think they appreciate until you've been in the game for a very long time, is that when properties go up in value, that's when you hit the jackpot, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it is,
the returns are fantastic, and making 10%, 20%, whatever you're making is brilliant. But really, when you make the big bucks, it's when you suddenly go, oh my goodness,
Absolutely.
I bought that property for 100 grand and now it's worth £200,000, and then you can then refinance and do all kinds of things with it. Or and I don't know, have you ever played the game Cashflow 101?
I have, yeah.
Yeah.
We've got
how are you good at it? Do you win?
Sometimes.
Would you beat me? Do you think?
I wouldn't like to say that. Tell you what, I'll challenge you to a game.
You challenge me to a game. I look forward to that. The way that I always win on Cashflow 101, and I think the strategy, which is very true to real life, is buy properties, you get your bit of income coming in, and you're desperately trying to become financially free. You're buying properties and you're getting these little deals and you're scrapping around, making a few £100 here, a few £100 there, but then suddenly the market changes.
Yeah.
And suddenly it's like, oh goodness, those little tiny properties that I bought, giving me a little bit of income, have now gone right up in value, and then you sell one and then bang, you start doing some big deals, and that's when you suddenly get very wealthy. And I think in real life, I think that's true to say as well, which is, I don't know if you'd agree, being in the game for 2 decades.
I would, and you're right. I mean, we started off with very small properties, and we've got a couple that are a little bit bigger now, and I think that's a very valid point as well, that at some point it's good to get one or two that are a little bit larger. You know what? The kitchen and bathroom cost will be exactly the same on a £45,000 house to a £250,000 house. So although there is a thing about yield and return on the property, there is also a case that the value you can add to a larger house, it doesn't cost you much more. And if it's an area where you're expecting good capital growth, then actually it's worth doing, because the longer term is going to look very good if you can double its value.
So we've just met Trevor, who after 20 years as an investor attended the crash course, made one tweak to his business, and is now making a much higher return on investment.
He's doubled his return on investment, which is pretty good. I mean, imagine if he'd done that all those years ago. Imagine what position he'd be in now. It's crazy, really. But I mean, it's definitely a definition of an investor rather than an entrepreneur. I would say someone who's very much interested in the capital appreciation as opposed to the cash flow, which is great. That's cool. That's what he wanted. He's financially free. He's given up his job 4 years ago. And now he's probably more looking at it more like an entrepreneur now and saying, okay, how can I tweak this? How can I improve this? How can I do better? I like his thinking about the capital appreciation and about investing in areas where you think it's going to go up in value.
That was his thing, wasn't it? He was always looking for areas that are a bit hidden and about to go bang and go.
And he's made a lot of money that way.
Yeah.
I mean, we were talking on Manchester has had a lot of growth. Birmingham is having an awful lot of growth, and I believe
his new gold mine area, I think, is going to go nuts.
Crewe's great.
Yeah.
What I like about Crewe, and why a lot of investors are looking at Crewe, is because of HS2.
HS2, yeah.
Because you're going to be able to get to London in like an hour and 15 minutes or something. So
there's also lots of large employers there. So you've got Rolls Royce, you've got DB Schenker. There's loads. There's many large employers, and there's more people going there.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a really good area in the next 5-10 years.
it's kind of in between your sort of Manchester, Liverpool's area and the Midlands, so it's quite near a lot of other big cities.
Yeah.
And with access obviously into London now is easy. It's a good location. It's quite a nice area as well, isn't it? I don't know Crewe actually to be that well as in the city.
I've dealt in Crewe before. I've got a couple of clients wanted me to find some HMOs in Crewe for them. So
It's near Chester, isn't it?
It's in Cheshire, isn't it, Crewe? So I don't know if that's near Chester. I don't know where Chester is, but
Have you ever heard it called Cheshire before?
Cheshire.
It's just Cheshire.
Cheshire.
It's in Cheshire.
Cheshire.
It sounds like a character out of Lion King or something.
Could be. But
Hi Simba, this is Cheshire. And Mufasa.
So it's in Cheshire, Mufasa.
Cheshire.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's just
Did I
Cheshire.
ever get a break, man? Anyway,
Not very often.
Yeah. So anyway, Crewe's good.
Yeah.
He's good. He's got the single let property that they bought, and they're now getting higher returns.
Yeah.
And I believe he's bought another one. He's collecting the keys for.
And he's moving into HMOs and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, where do you think then is a really goldmine area for capital appreciation right now, other than Manchester, Birmingham, and Crewe, which I just said? The reason I put that disclaimer is I don't want him to ask me the same question. I already answered those three.
Right. So you said apart from Manchester. So where do I think it's going to go? Bang. Going to come. Not bang as in bang going to die. As in bang as in explode. Exploding.
Not bang as in. No, hold on.
Not bang as in die. As in like. Go
Not bang
and
as in
bust.
go like bang. Bang as in like explode.
Go,
Yeah.
not bang as in go like go bust. I mean bang as in explode and become good. Birmingham definitely.
Okay.
100% Birmingham.
Manchester.
No, not man. Did you say not to say Birmingham? Was that one on the list? Shows how much I listen.
Crewe.
Crewe's good. I know there's a lot of people
Cheshire?
looking at Liverpool. There's a lot of people looking at Liverpool. There is other areas, but I'm not giving that information out, mate.
Really?
Because I'm working in them areas at the minute for some of my investors.
Do you
And if
know-
I suddenly start telling everyone, suddenly everyone's going to be looking at
Do
that
you know
area.
what? Someone. This is totally off topic, but someone came up to me at the deal finding extravaganza and said, "Does Alistair invest in Scotland?"
I've got. Do you know? It's probably the same guy. I'm getting somebody ask me all the time at the minute why I'm not investing in Scotland.
Right, and I said, not that I'm aware of, because obviously it's Scotland. But I said he did come to me about 6 months ago. You just reminded me about this genius new technique that you can do in Scotland. I said, but he's gone really quiet about it now. I said, so that either means it's kicking ass, he's keeping it to himself, or it's sucked and he's keeping it to himself.
It's not so much it sucked. It's just time. We've not had time to really divulge into it.
Okay.
But it is.
It is
good.
kick-ass, it is
it's
true.
It's going to be very well.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys are aware, but in Scotland, when you list a property for sale, you have to have a home buyer's report beforehand, and it has to have verified valuations. So, if you know what you're doing, you can find a lot of below market value deals. Very good below market values, and because it's already been evaluated and surveyed, you've got a bank valuation on it.
Yeah. Okay.
So you just have to know how to find these deals, and you're finding deals that are in certain areas that are being valued at 70,000-80,000 £. You can buy them for 40-50 grand.
Wow.
And because
But
everything's been done
on the negative side, because he's making it sound really rosy right now, on the negative side,
It's in
it does
Scotland.
mean you own property in Scotland.
there's nothing wrong with that. Scotland's beautiful.
Scotland is beautiful. Just the people.
Oh, that hurt.
In all fairness,
sorry, our fellow Scottish listeners.
In all fairness,
he doesn't mean that.
I love Scottish people. It's just I'm literally basing it all off meeting Alistair.
Yeah, don't worry. It's mainly against me, not the whole nation.
It's only
not
against
the
you.
whole country of Scotland. It's just one person. Me. Anyway,
So so no more gold mine areas then. You couldn't think of any.
I know I can think of them. I'm just not going to reveal them.
Ooh, being a bit secretive.
Liverpool's good.
Just say somewhere that's not good then to throw them off scent.
No, because that's not right. I'd rather say nothing than give them the wrong sort of area.
London.
No, I think there's some areas down south that are going to do well.
Do you?
Yeah, I think there is. There's one area
Why
that
are you being
listen,
secretive
I'm
when
gonna
we've
tell you
already
this.
given away the best three?
Right, fine. There's one area that I think, purely because of what's happening there, I think in the next 5 to 10 years, and you're going to laugh at this, but in 5 or 10 years, you're not going to.
Right.
You're not
Don't
gonna,
tell me the area. Right. Tell me why you think it's so
Right.
good, and I'll try and guess.
Okay. So for the first time in its history, it's getting a 5-star hotel built there.
It's not, okay.
Listen, it's getting a massive conference centre built in the centre that's costing millions of pounds.
Okay.
And there's a load of regeneration happening there, and there's a load of hotels getting popped up. The first 5-star in this area, it's going to be the first ever 5-star hotel.
So somewhere that I think's crap, that you think's good.
No, I don't think it's good at the minute. I think it will be good.
Corby?
No. Are you? Sorry, guys. No. It's up north.
He lives in Corby, by the way. Up north. Leeds?
No.
Sheffield?
Never eat shredded wheat. Northwest. Seaside
Preston?
Resort.
Blackpool?
Yeah.
Blackpool?
Yeah. Mate, I'm telling you.
Really?
Yeah. You see the development that was happening there. Promise you.
I
wouldn't
Blackpool.
invest in Blackpool at the minute, but you see the development that's going on there. There's so much development happening.
Well, surely
in
now
Blackpool.
is the time to invest then.
Well, I know what's going on there. I've been doing a lot of research into that area, and there's so much happening in Blackpool over the coming years. Not now, but over the next 10 years. There's planning approval for hotels. There's 5-star hotels going there. There's massive conference centre being put up in Blackpool.
Maybe we should do a crash course there in the conference centre.
When it's built, maybe
We can stay in the 5-star hotel.
we can. Or we can
new
go.
one.
We can go out to the £20 a night B&Bs. But
Blackpool is the only place where I've been in a normal pub.
Yeah.
It was a normal pub in Blackpool,
You
and a
be-
stripper came in. Just literally in a normal pub, and a stripper came in and started stripping, and we were like,
oh
it wasn't a
Cool.
strip club, it was just a normal pub.
yeah.
I was like, I've never. Is that normal?
It's like no, it's not normal. No, but it's like the Benidorm of England, isn't it? Blackpool. So, but anyway, there's some serious stuff going on up there, and I'm not the only person that thinks so. I'm just the only person that's publicised it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Here, breaking news. Hear it here first. Talking about news.
Do your research on it though.
Don't do your research. Just buy Blackpool. Just that. This is your research.
You
You've
probably
done
could buy Blackpool for a few quid. To be honest. Yeah, but if you've got 100 grand in the bank, you probably buy Blackpool.
Certainly worth looking into. Right. It's now time for this.
It's property investing news time.
So this week's news article is about landlords who have been fined by having terrible conditions. So the article
Fined
reads,
by having terrible conditions or for having a terrible.
fined for having Start again.
What?
You just put me off there, man. You went into one of your like, I'm going to put him off. Right. Oh man, you're going to make me giggle. You shouldn't do that.
I'm not giggling.
So this week's news article, we have found a slum landlord who has been fined £244,000 for making his tenants live in terrible conditions.
£244,000.
Yeah.
That is a big fine, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
That would sting. I'd be like, oh, man.
Ironically, that's 2 years rent income he was achieving because he was getting about £120,000 per year income.
2 years income. Can you imagine getting fined 2 years income?
So let me just read it. So a Crown Court judge has ordered landlords who crammed 31 tenants into a shantytown type home to pay thousands of pounds in fines, costs and confiscation orders. I'm not going to name them. The mother and
Does the
daughter
article
team.
name them?
The article does, yeah, but I can't pronounce the names. So I ain't naming them. Okay, so the so anyway, the mother and daughter team were pocketing £118,000 a year by stuffing 31 people into appalling conditions in a 4-bedroom house in Wembley.
Hold on. They were
31 people in a 4-bed house.
How is that even possible?
Well, it clearly was. They were making 118 grand a year
Because you
from
think,
it.
okay, so you got a bedroom. Maybe you could get like 3 sets of bunk beds in, maybe.
So 4 bedrooms. What's that? Maybe, okay, so let's just assume that they've got 4 bedrooms, front room. So
It's
5
a 4-bedroom
bedrooms.
house.
Yeah, 4-bedroom
But
house.
the article's going to try and make them look bad, isn't it?
Of
So
course it
I
is.
imagine there's going to be like some reception rooms downstairs. So let's say there's going to be 4 bedrooms and maybe a couple of rooms
2
downstairs.
receptions.
So you're looking at about 6 rooms.
6 bedrooms.
5 people a room.
5 people to a room.
Okay, I can see that being feasible.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Okay, so enforcement agents from Brent Council also found women living in a lean-to shed in the back. So there are people living in the shed, man. The shack had no lighting, heating, and was made out of wood offcuts, pallets, and a tarpaulin.
Pallets and a tarpaulin.
Imagine when it rained, man.
Can you imagine though? Right, you're like, I want to. Can I book a viewing? Like, there's no. How good at sales are they?
They must be.
Yeah. Come and have a look. Come and have a look.
Person.
Right, so here it is. This is the shed. This is, it's very cheap on bills. There's no heating.
Yeah.
Or electric. so you're gonna save a fortune on your bills. And there's a bed right there in the corner.
And you get a stargazing view in the evenings because there's no roof.
It's a tarpaulin over the top. Like, who on earth is in the market for that? I just know that I would never be able to. You
got to question not the landlord. You got to question the tenants here, ain't you? Because look, it's supply and demand. Yeah, right. These people are obviously living there, and they're not paying cheap rent. I mean, what is like? Let's have a look at what they were achieving in rent.
Hold on, was it £120,000?
118, right?
Is that their profit though?
No, that's just rental income. So making $6,000 a week.
$6,000 a week.
Divide that by 31.
Okay.
Hang on, 6132 divided by 31.
It's about £195 a week per person.
Who's pay that?
It is in London.
I know it's in London.
775. About 800 quid a month.
Wow. So they're getting charged 800 quid a month for a freaking shed and a bed, and that's it.
But the shed person will be cheaper. I mean, I'd have thought.
Maybe
if it's not, I'd begrudge it. If I was the shed person, I'd be like, why am I paying the same and they're in a nice bedroom and I'm in a shed?
Yeah, but at least the guy in the shed probably had an ensuite, like the bush at the back.
So is it 30 in the house and 1 in the shed?
It didn't define. It just said 31 people living in this property. So I would assume 30 in the house, 1 in the shed.
So what's your? Hold on. Did you say this is just supply and demand?
Well, okay, so supply and demand, right? The landlord's obviously a rogue landlord, and I'm not condoning it in any way, but they've obviously seen that there's a need for this, and they're just exploiting people. I think they've just said, hey, just come on in, you come, you can sleep wherever, find a space, have a sleep, £200 a week. And rightly so, they've been fined. But with the need for cheap, and that's not even cheap, with the need for housing, is there a bigger picture going on here? Is there a bigger problem?
The shed takes it onto another level.
Especially if it's made out of broken wood and pallets.
Pallets and stuff. So forget the shed for now. So there's 30 people in the house, 5 people to a room.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the queue for the showers in the morning?
Yeah.
Like,
what happens if you all start working at the same time? Everyone starts working at 9 o'clock.
Well, I know certain people who've lived in HMOs where there's 5 or 6 of them, and there's always a queue for the shower, and they're like, well, I have a shower now. I just do it at 5 o'clock after work, or I do it, and they do it at specific times to make it easier. But even that, I mean, the electric the bill for the heating must be ridiculous. 31 showers a day.
That boiler must be going crazy to keep the water hot. Must be, man.
It is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. But so your point about supply and demand, are you saying that if there's 2 people and this person's got a product and this person is happy to pay for that product, which they obviously are, there's nothing wrong?
Let's face it. Look, the landlord, whether you agree with this or not, has a product, which is a property. The tenants are his clients. The tenants have obviously looked at this. They've obviously turned up to this property and been happy with what they've seen. Otherwise, they would be paying £200 a month or a week.
Yeah.
Why would they do that? Now, we don't know the exact tenants.
I suppose the question is, at what point do you step in? So, you could say, McDonald's, it's not even food, but if they're selling it and people are happy to buy it, at what point should the government step in and go, that's illegal, that's wrong?
I don't know, man. I don't know. But I mean, in this landlord's case, obviously the council have got involved because it's just health and safety wise, fire safety, it's just not there, is it? But we also
should the government step in? Should it just be a case of it's a capitalist country? If you've got a product and someone is happy to buy it, so be it.
I think I do think that there should be somebody governing this sort of stuff 100%, because you're gonna have, otherwise you'd have houses all down the country with rogue landlords filling rooms, filling properties.
How is it possible? Why is there a market for that? That's my issue with it. Why are those
I'd like to know the type of
happy
tenants.
to pay?
Yeah. I'd like to know what the tenants are thinking. I mean, we don't know these tenants. They could be, let's just worst case, they could be people that have been brought to this country for work. They could be people that have been
But here's the question.
all sorts. You
Here's
just
the
don't know the
question.
sort of
We
tenants.
look
You
at
don't
that.
know their situation, so we
We
can't
look
really
at that and
judge
go,
that.
disgusting,
Yeah,
terrible.
Terrible. Yeah.
If they weren't staying there, now they've been kicked out, where are they staying now?
Yeah, that's the. That's
Are they
the other thing.
homeless?
I don't know what the going rate for. What is the going rate for accommodation in Wembley per week? I don't know, a couple £100, £300.
I don't know.
What is it? So if I don't even know if that's
Be a lot more than that, I imagine.
I think it'd be more than that, yeah, because of where it is. But so it's obviously affordable because they wouldn't be paying it otherwise. I'm not condoning it. We're not agreeing with that,
No.
but we just there must be there's a bigger picture going on here. Do you know what I mean? There's something bigger going on.
There is.
Is it a case of somebody's bringing in illegal workers or whatever, and they're just housing them cheap,
what
charging
I
them
find
their
sad
wages?
is there are people that are happy to live in those conditions.
Yeah, I'd completely agree with you.
That's what I find sad, and I think the issue it isn't the landlord, although yes, that is an issue, but that's a side issue to me. The issue is why are there people that are prepared to pay to live in those environments, and the fact that they're choosing that, what's their alternative?
Yeah.
And now that's been taken away, rightly so, because that is terrible. But what the story doesn't cover is where are they now?
Yeah,
where are they living now? Are they on the streets?
And we don't know if
are
they're
they in somewhere else that's terrible?
Have you seen all these programs on TV, like the bailiff programs, where the bailiffs turn up to evict people that have not been paying rent for 2 years, and then you look at the property and it's covered in damp, it's ridden with, it's just this absolute filth. And then you sort of ask yourself, why are they fighting to stay in this property?
Yeah.
Why would you? But you've got to ask
it's
yourself,
free.
what are the other options? Yeah, I know they're not paying the rent; it's free. But then, what keeps them there? Because I wouldn't live in that terrible conditions. But obviously, we don't know these people's individual circumstances, so we can't
don't.
really judge them on that side of things. But obviously, the people that moved in there, the tenants that moved in there, probably felt at the time that suited them.
Yeah.
And sometimes, I mean, London's a not cheap place to live, so sometimes it's the lesser of two evils. It's either that or sleep in the streets, I suppose.
Wow. Well,
but it's not great. I mean,
no.
well done on the council for sorting this out. Well done on the authorities for nailing this dodgy landlord.
Yeah. And we need to do. I mean, like for example, do you know the story that we looked at? Well, I don't think we talked about it actually, but where Samuel was in the news, where he gave money to that homeless charity, and what they do is they let all the people sleep on the bus.
Yeah.
So you could look at that and go, what, 30 people sleeping on a bus?
Yeah.
But the alternative
It's slightly different.
it is different because they're not profiting from it. They're
Yeah.
not charging them for it. So it's very, very
this
different.
landlord was making over 120k, just under 120k a year.
What annoys me about that is it's taking advantage of people that are
Vulnerable
obviously
people.
desperate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
So,
Anyway.
bigger, deeper, darker issues going on here. Okay, it's now time for the question and answer part of the podcast. So I've got some questions that have come through to my Instagram page.
Cool.
At Russell Leeds. So please come on and follow me on there. First question here from Aman Das. Hi Russell, I listen and watch your Property Investor podcast every week. I am fairly new and just trying to work where to source invest. So looking for an area really where to source and invest in. And also, does Alistair have any tips for sourcing?
Firstly, what I would recommend is you got to decide if it's somewhere you're going to be buying or if it's somewhere for your investors that are going to be buying. If it's somewhere you're looking to buy, I would be happy with the area. I would make sure that you're happy with getting to that area and traveling. If your investors will have a whole different criteria of where they're looking. So for instance, I'm mainly looking for myself in the Midlands, but I've got lots of investors that want up north. So I won't buy up myself up north, but I want...
You've got some in Hull and stuff.
I have got some in Hull, but they're on lease options. So I personally am looking just to keep all mine in the Midlands. But like I say, a lot of my investors want up north and even some northeast. So that's cool. So you just need to define if you're looking for yourself or for an investor. If you're looking for an investor, you look wherever they're wanting. If you're looking for yourself, pick an area that's got good demand.
Yeah, so if you start building your list and start, if you start making aware that you're a deal source and start getting investors that are interested, you can ask them where are you looking?
Where are you looking, and
What
start
sort of
looking in that
deal do you
area.
want?
And then what I would try and do when you first start out is pick one area and get really good in that area and get to know that area before you start sort of spreading yourself too thinly. It's better to be a master of one than a sort of jack of all trades, so to speak.
Cool. Brilliant. Hope that answers your question. Sebastian Clement, is there anything I should be aware of when doing a lease option agreement on a leasehold property, other than making sure the lease is long enough at the end of the option?
I think he's covered it in the fact that the lease has to be long enough.
Yeah.
I think everything else. Oh, be certain on things like the ground rents and service charges. You don't want them varying too much throughout your term. So just understand all that. And perhaps, I think the lease term at the end would be, I'd be concerned about. I'd be wanting to know, make sure there's plenty of time left on the lease. That's what I'd be interested in. But obviously, just confirm everything with your solicitor before you go ahead with it.
Yep, perfect. What is the best strategy to incorporate at the start of building your property portfolio?
That is such an open question. It depends on your situation.
Do you know what I would say? I would say that she has put for an 18-year-old university student, but I suppose it's irrelevant how old you are and what you're doing.
Yeah, so I think it's more about how much money you've got in the bank. If you're starting off with £100,000, the strategy would be completely different if you're starting off with nothing. So let's just assume you're an 18-year-old, you're a student at university. Wrongly or rightly, I'm going to assume that you're probably not got £100,000 in the bank, but if you have, I apologise. So then you'd be better off starting off with something that requires not a lot of money, such as lease options, rent to rents.
Well, we talked a little about being a property entrepreneur.
Yeah,
I would say start looking at that. I'd say start watching the YouTube videos.
Yeah.
I mean, listening to this,
Probably
which obviously you're
podcast.
doing, which is great. Come along to the crash course and just start learning. Really, if you're 18, you've got plenty of time, but you want to start taking action.
Do you know you're at a good time to start doing this? Because I wish I got involved in this a long, long time ago. So 18-year-old, you get on with it.
Because you've only recently got involved really in property, haven't you? At a much, much older age than you. So.
Yeah, 34.
Have you got any questions on yours?
Sorry. Let me jump on. Okay, so. Hey, Dennis.
I've got one more.
No, I've got a question.
But I've got one. Let me.
This is better.
Okay.
Dennis Brown. He has one word to say, not a question. It's just a statement. Legends. Cheers, Dennis. So it's not a question, but
he wanted to read it.
Yeah,
he wanted to read it.
Okay, so we have a question from the Lion O'Brien. What is the process when you buy a property and remortgage to release funds? And would it be different lenders for each mortgage? Thank you a lot in advance. So.
To be honest, I struggle to follow the question. So
to be honest, I did as well because it's not written very well. But it says, what is the process when you buy a property and remortgage it to release funds? And would it be different lenders for each mortgage?
Okay, so the process is so you'll buy it, and then what you need to do is you need to get it valued again.
Mm-hmm.
You can't, and then if the value has gone up, then you can remortgage it. Now, usually you can do the same lenders.
Wasn't it Kent Reliance that are now doing all of that? When you first set up your...
You don't have to 6 months.
No, so you can set up your bridging. So if you're buying it, for instance, on bridging, they set up the bridging finance and also the refinance at the same time you set the bridging up.
I can't remember who it was.
I'm sure it was Kent Reliance doing that, but obviously double check. Speak to a good broker. You need to speak to a good independent broker, and they'll help you with that.
But yeah, it's more about waiting for either adding value or waiting for the property to naturally go up in value.
Here's another one from Phil Carr. When do you get paid your finder's fee for selling a deal to an investor?
Straight away. Next.
Is that the pot? Yeah, straight away. Yeah, straight away. It's your business, your terms. If you want it straight away, that's what you do straight away. If you're happy to wait to completion, you wait to completion. But remember, guys, it's your business, your terms. And also from Phil, is there a checklist for what information to include when selling a deal to an investor? There is. Get yourself along to the crash course and we will talk about it there. And also the deal finding extravaganza.
Or sign up to Alistair's mailing list and you'll get a very good idea of the way that you send deals.
Yeah.
Like if you're not signed up to his list,
yeah.
I mean, even if you're not planning on buying right now,
just sign up.
Sign up anyway, and you can see if you want to be a source, sign up to other sources' lists. Check out the competition.
Yeah, 100%. Nick will put a link for my list somewhere. Is that okay?
Yeah. Just go to his website, bettersourcedltd.co.uk.
Yeah, or
you sign up on there.
But yes, there is a checklist. We also have a due diligence pack. We do not just sell deals. Just say here's a deal. Do you want it? There's a right move link. No, not at all. We do have a pack. We do have lots of information we hand out. That's cool. You got any more questions?
I've got one more.
Go on.
Right. So if Basically, the question is, if you're buying a buy-to-let property, can you use your mortgage income from other properties as proof of earnings? Best thing to do is just go to a mortgage broker and just explain to them your situation, and that there's, especially if it's a buy-to-let. The thing is, here's the thing: if it's a buy-to-let mortgage that you're getting, they don't really look at you; they look at the property, because they want to make sure that property is going to bring in income. Because when it's a buy-to-let mortgage, who's paying the mortgage?
Tenants.
The tenant, not you, because they're paying the rent, which is covering the mortgage. So just go with your situation to like Alistair mentioned, a good independent mortgage broker, and just say, look, this is the situation, what can you do?
I think what you got to do whenever you're getting advice from mortgage brokers and that is just be completely transparent. Listen, lay everything out on the table. This is where you're at. This is your income. This is that. And just work with them.
And don't accept no for an answer.
Don't. We've got Anne on the academy. She was not rejected, but she was told no several times, and she ended up sorting it out, no problem.
Yeah, but by lots of really good mortgage brokers said no to her. She just kept going to other mortgage brokers, and in the end, she got a deal. So don't just think, well, I've spoke to one independent mortgage broker, therefore I can't do it, and take yourself out of the game. It's the same with anything. You just keep going. You'll get that.
Are you going to let me give me a little plug on my book before the end?
Go on.
So guys, just remember, my book is out. Whatever It Takes for Alistair Cunningham. You can get it on Amazon. I'm sure Nick will put a link down below.
Well, do you know what's bad about that is you've just, everyone's just turned off now, so no one's going to watch me wrap up at the end.
Well, you can wrap up now.
Yeah,
so remember, get my book.
It's too late because they've gone. There's no one. There is literally not one person still watching. They can't see. They're not there. They've gone. Right. But don't forget to subscribe. Thanks very much for tuning into this week's show. We are back next Friday at 4 o'clock. If you've got any questions, pop them below. Don't forget to check us out on social media.
Yeah.